Well, we've got a new Minister of Agriculture in Ontario, and to be accurate, the Minister of Farming, Agriculture and Agribusiness, and he joins us right now. It is Rob Flack. Minister Flack, it is great to have you on the program.
Thank you, Shaun. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so give us some of your background. You're relatively, I guess, new to politics, but a long history in the industry.
I was elected in 22 for the great riding of Elgin, Middlesex, London, and prior to that, I spent my life in the business of agriculture and agri-food, mostly in the grain and the animal nutrition business. Ended up running Masterfeeds for a number of years, a national agribusiness, and always have had a passion for all things agriculture, farming, and food. And here I am. There you go. I get elected, and the Premier gave me a great job. Looking forward to the challenges ahead. And I might point out, we made a slight change to the name of the ministry right after I was appointed. I had to go and get reappointed again by the Lieutenant Governor. We got the name food back into the ministry name because we felt it important, because obviously so many stakeholders are directly related to food processing, food marketing, and our exports. So it is now agriculture, food, and agribusiness, and we'll talk about the agribusiness portion as we move along.
Yeah, okay, so that was one of my questions. What happened to food? I know when we posted the story, when the release came out, a few people were asking that question, so clearly you got some feedback.
Well, I got some feedback, and of course, when I first heard the name, I hadn't been part or privy to the discussion, so obviously we felt as a team that needed to be changed, and fortunately the Premier said, good, change it. So we did.
Okay.
And I'm the shortest lived farming, agriculture and agribusiness minister in Ontario's history, but I'm now hopefully here in agriculture, food and agribusiness for a while.
Yeah, great stuff. So why agribusiness? Why add that?
Well, when the Premier asked me to take on this role, we have for some time been showing in Ontario that agri-food, agribusiness is a big business, an important economic driver in our provincial economy. And while our farmers are the heart and soul of what we do, it's so much bigger in terms of the pan-Ontario industry. So, for instance, from the farm gate to the consumer's plate, 1 in 10 Ontarians, some might say 1 in 9, have a job in the food continuum. When you take a look at the number of people employed, food and beverage actually employs more people than the auto sector today. So just under 1 million people employed in the sector. And we are $50 billion, close to, just under $50 billion of GDP. And we export over $25 billion of food and commodities. So it's a big industry. And I think the Premier wants to put the lens of economic development in the ministry to ensure that we continue to attract investment and create jobs and strengthen our economy in the months and years ahead.
Can you get some insight into the key priorities for you? Because I'm sure after you were elected, this was a seat because of your passion for the industry that you were interested in. So now you have it. What are some of the key priorities for you to move the needle, so to speak?
Well, a few, but the first needle and the most important needle is, while I have lots of industry experience, there's lots for me to learn. So I've started it, and I'm going to continue to do it throughout the summer and into the fall, as long as I'm here. I call it the listening and learning tour. I'm going to go out and listen to all stakeholders, farmers, food processors, further processors, marketers, distributors, whatever it may be, to listen and understand the needs they have, number one, the concerns they have, the issues they have, and what we can do to help solve as government. Look, as a government, we don't grow food, we don't process food. We create the environment for success to take place. And whether it's policy, whether it's regulations, whether it's food inspection, food safety, food security, there's so many things that we do and need to do well to support all stakeholders in the industry. So I want to listen and learn about that as I go forward. As we head into the fall session, we're going to get some priorities down. We'll get our mandate letter from the Premier here hopefully in the next week or two and begin to put the legislative lens agenda together to try and drive the needle upwards in terms of supporting all stakeholders.
One of the big issues in the province of Ontario, especially when you talk to, say, the mushroom sector, the fruit and veg, horticulture, it has to do with labor. And we're really good at talking about the problem, but solutions do seem somewhat sparse. What do we, in your mind, what do we need to do to solve this farm labor issue that many are experiencing, and it's hurting the overall productivity of the people in the province?
Well, one of the first things we need to prioritize, we just have to create the environment for our growers to be able to house the people that they bring here. And it's an important issue. And I've heard that when I was the Associate Minister of Housing, when I was a parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Agriculture before, in my first year in the legislature. So that is a big priority. And also helping them cut the red tape that goes along with getting it done. And that means working with our federal partners. And so, again, I'm new. I'm a week into the job. So, again, listening and learning, but I'm seeing that it's a high priority. And as I meet with those stakeholders and I've been talking to them on the phone, it is a high priority, and we're going to try and find solutions quickly.
One of the areas of agriculture, and this isn't just an Ontario thing, this is really probably all provinces across the country of Canada, is commitment to research. Do you feel this is a budget item that needs an increase when we talk about agricultural research and extension in the province, or how do you see it?
Well, I think we do a pretty good job of it today. If you take a look at our ministry, we support the University of Guelph in a big way. And I think you get President Yates to agree to that. That being said, we need to support all partners in the private sector as well, too. In my former life, research was an important part of how we brought animal nutrition products and solutions to the table. It isn't just government that does it or universities. So we need to look at all aspects of research and innovation and support it. Having our curious minds continue to do the great work is what this is all about. And we're going to continue to fight that good fight. And again, I think we do a good job. We just have to prioritize and see where we can do better.
In terms of business risk management and some of that programming, there has been an ask from some stakeholders in the province for an increase in budget allocation to assist producers in being able to manage risk. What is your feeling? I know we're relatively new here to the seat, but when it comes to business risk management, do we need to build out the tools? Is it a money issue, or what are some of the solutions here from your perspective?
Well, it's not the first time I've heard about the issue, because I've heard it from the day I got elected. Understand the concern. I'm proud that our government, our premier, and I believe former Minister Hardeman increased what the risk management program was by $50 million annually. And I know there's asks in, and I've not been privy to the specifics yet, but I've had my briefing on the whole business risk management file, and I'm going to need a few more to totally get down into the weeds. But again, I'll listen and learn and take all advocacy that comes my way and try and move the needle again for them if it makes sense.
Is there, when I look at I've traveled all over Ontario. I was just there last week, and it is one of the provinces where we see a pretty strong rural-urban divide because of the size of an area like the GTA. We see more and more farmland in Ontario is becoming a parking lot for Costco or new building developments, especially when we have the housing crisis that we have in Canada. What are your thoughts on some of the ways that we allow agriculture to thrive, even up against the biggest of cities like the GTA?
Well, it's a challenge. There's no question. But what's the biggest challenge? We are a growing population. Since I was in high school many moons ago, the population of Ontario has more than doubled. And when you take a look at where these people live, the vast majority of them live in the GTHA, Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. and it has been a housing explosion. And you take a look at small town Ontario post-COVID, during COVID, people have wanted to move out and come to other parts of Ontario to live. So we, in 2022 alone, 800,000 people came to our great province to live. And so we've got houses to provide and we've got food to provide. But I would point out, that we do a pretty good job here in Ontario. We export more food. We produce more food than we consume. And when you take a look at yields and innovation and what we've done, you talked about ag research before and innovation, I think that's gone a long way in increasing yield, production, and we continue to process more and feed more people in Ontario. So I know it's a balance. I use the word balance between how we grow the province and how we meet those needs, but also in how we continue to protect the precious and perfect farmland we have in Ontario to ensure that we continue to feed people for generations to come.
Yeah, and to finish up here, because I know we're running out of time, but you mentioned that we are producing more than we can consume within the province. Market access and trade. What are some of the steps that need to be taken to improve market access for Ontario farmers, both domestically, because we have interprovincial trade issues big time, but also internationally?
Well, great question, and I'm glad you asked it because that's part of where I'm going to be focusing a lot of my time. Mid-July, I'm going to be going to Whitehorse to be part of the federal, provincial, territorial agri-food ministers meeting. So all the ministers from the provinces and federally get together to talk about the issues you just mentioned, whether it's interprovincial trade, whether it's opportunities to work as one in terms of our exports. When you take a look at Ontario, the vast majority of what we export goes to the United States. And they're our greatest trading ally wherever we go, however we go. It's especially true in food and ag commodities. So we're going to continue to fight and look for these markets to help our processors, our food marketers and exporters get the job done. And I don't care if you're looking at livestock production, you're looking at fruit and vegetable, you're looking at whatever the 200 commodities we produce in Ontario and what we do with those to add value to them through processing and further processing. That is going to be a primary job of mine. Now, we don't export the food. We have to create the markets, not the markets. We have to create the environment, again, for these folks to find these opportunities. We want to be partners with all these stakeholders, and I plan to be shoulder to shoulder with them in getting that job done.
Well, Minister Flack, thanks so much for joining us here today on Real Ag Radio. Really do appreciate it, and I'm sure we will be chatting again because there's no shortage of issues to chat about as things develop. So thanks so much for joining us.
Anytime. Thank you, sir. You have a great day.